Hello, everyone. This is Ed Carbajal with Spectation Sports. I'm speaking with Cameron Graham, who fights AJ Johnson this coming weekend at Aries Fight Series, the Big Mac. How you
Yes,
doing,
sir.
sir?
I'm doing all right, but yourself?
All right. Thanks for making time to talk.
Yes, sir.
Um, so it's kind of a big task ahead of you this weekend. I know you've been fighting for a while. Before we get into the upcoming fight and the event that you're fighting on, tell us about yourself. Like, tell me how what when did the fight bug bite you that you wanted to get into competitive professional mixed martial arts?
It actually started. I've been fighting to see almost 15 years. My older cousin, Aubrey, call him Swisher. He was a professional fighter as well back in the day. I was a wrestler. I wrestled in middle school, high school, and he used to come and pick me up to take me to training to get extra work in. And I used to go with him with his fights. I used to train with him, and literally we were at an event one weekend, and somebody backed out of a fight.
Mm.
And he'd asked me, he's like, "Hey, man, you want to take it?" It's like, I mean, it ain't nothing to me. And literally, I mean, I'm 16 years old. Took a fight on days'
Wow.
notice, knocked dude out in minute 32 seconds, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow. So when you're talking about 15 years, you're talking about like around the way, unsanctioned,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
old
Everything.
school, yeah.
Majority of my first fights, I was still underage. I was still a kid
Mm.
fighting adults. You know, I a lot of my stuff like there are a lot of my stuff that's on YouTube, and then there's stuff that's like old Facebook videos, stuff like that. Like I've been around the way, man.
All right, no, because that's the first note I made when when you mentioned 15 years. I'm like, I have him pro 7 years, but that's what made me think. I was like, you said 16, and I was like, this has to be from
Yes, sir.
something. I'm in Jersey, so we had that a lot too.
I got you.
As the sport was growing. So speaking of the sport, I mean, when you say fighting, especially the definition of fighting, kind of, especially for when it comes to the sport aspect of it, has changed over the years. And I noticed that you did a lot of kickboxing, boxing on top of mixed martial arts.
Yes, sir.
So when you started fighting, what what would you have like? Was the rule set like anything goes? What was the fighting like? Was it close to MMA?
It was more or less anything goes, but I did a lot more kickboxing
Hmm.
in my young years because I was underage. So any of my stuff that was like partially sanctioned,
Hmm.
um, I had to do kickboxing a lot. And that's kind of how I developed some of my game because I
Mm.
came from a wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling background, um, but I couldn't always use it. I was always striking.
Hmm. Yeah, that was actually my next question of what you consider your base. I mean, you're saying striking, but with you did a lot of wrestling too. Um, as a sport, because I started following you on your social media and everything,
Yes, sir.
and I noticed that you're at a pro gym training with other fighters.
Yes, sir.
So when you get into this, like fighting pro, building your record, do you find yourself gravitating to any particular discipline, or is it just as long as I could throw hands, I'm good?
Um, Me, I like my best to stay balanced.
Mm.
So it's not necessarily that it's all about me throwing hands because everybody knows I can throw hands. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
big of a deal. And as a heavyweight, all of us can throw hands.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take but one punch. So for the most part, especially over the last few years, I've been trying to develop more of a ground game than what I already have. Um, I've fought against some crazy individuals. I've fought against a few black belts. Um, and I mean, I've only been submitted what 3 times in my career, um, and I'm trying to keep it at just those three. Just
Yeah.
trying to get more rail rounded. So the discipline part of it just comes in like different aspects. Like, hey, I'm disciplined to my wrestling. I'm disciplined to my Muay Thai, to my boxing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's good that it speaks to the fact that you're seeing something that you need to work on, and as far as the holes in your game.
Yes, sir.
Um, So this fight coming up. So I mean, now contrary to my notes, I mean, if you have 15 years fighting experience, you've been a pro since 2018, based on the notes I have. 7 years. You're the task they've given you at Aries for this coming weekend, next weekend rather. They have you facing AJ Johnson, who was making his pro MMA debut,
Yes, sir.
coming from the NFL. Um, what was your? How did the fight come to you? First of all.
I got a message from the matchmaker,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much he was just saying like, hey, he's got a guy coming in from the NFL. They're trying to book him a fight, and of course, I mean, we always know that stuff like that is going to be a difficult fight for some people.
Mm-hmm.
I think the promoters had an interview with him where they talked about it. Not many guys want to take a fight against guys like that. This day and age, everybody wants to protect their records.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to shot at Dana White Contender Series, UFC, so forth, so forth. Which is it's fine and dandy. I understand it, respect it to an extent. But then you got guys like me that I, I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse my language.
That's all right.
I fight everybody. I fight
Yeah.
anybody. I don't think there's ever been a fight that I've been offered that it's like I don't know if I can take that or I don't know if I can handle it. Nah, bro. It's like, all right, well, when we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure
Yeah.
my kids can be there. That's about it.
I mean, you kind of answered my little sub question I had under that one, because you hinted at him coming from the NFL, how guys don't really want to fight somebody like that. Not so much about protecting your record, because like my time in martial arts right now, at least at the stage in my life, I do a lot of jujitsu,
Yes, sir.
and sometimes when you get somebody that's raw to whatever the art is, there's this concern of like they're just it's just like awkward. You know, in jiu-jitsu they call them like spazzy white belts.
Yes, yes.
So
That's
so
that awkwardness. Like you don't know technically what they're capable
yeah.
of. Like guys like me, like everybody's seen me. There's film on me. There's, record on me. So some people know my strengths, my weaknesses, so forth, so
Hmm.
forth. But a guy that's literally just green to the
Hmm.
game, um, you really don't know what he can do yet. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit like not necessarily scary, but it's like, okay, well, that's cautious. But
Okay.
I like cautious.
Yeah. I mean, it probably makes it fun for you, because like, when I think about other fighters that have come from the NFL that came into MMA, and they made their debut against somebody like yourself that has a lot of experience, that has a record already. Um, I'm thinking of, like, off the top of my head. I mean, this is a little while ago. I don't know if you ever saw it, but when Herschel Walker fought on
Mhm.
one of the Pride event, like he just charged at the guy. It was like going after a tackling dumbing, and it was almost, there's like a weird rush of confusion. So you
Yeah,
kind of.
it's a different ball game. I mean, he's
Hmm.
coming in with a different mindset. Which I
Hmm.
mean, I played ball. I was a middle linebacker. I get the mindset. I
Okay.
understand we're downhill. We want to attack. Like it's to be gritty,
Hmm.
but sometimes in the fight game you can't be like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you got to find a balance between that aggressiveness and that level of poise. And I don't
Hmm.
think he has that yet. Which he may have some people that are around him that do, but
Yeah.
that only comes to me with experience.
Yeah. Yeah, under the lights, when when the door closes and the fight's actually on, it's all brand new,
Oh
especially if
yeah.
you've never done it before. Um, so uh, how do you prepare for someone like that? Like, how do you? I know guys watch films. There's no film on him. They're just NFL. Like, how do you prepare for someone like that?
Stick to the basics.
Hmm.
Basics will always be. I mean, I don't care what level fighter you are. I mean, I've got guys that I know that are in the UFC, the Bellator. I got guys that are backyard. Basics. If
Hmm.
you can't hone yourself on your basics, then you'll always end up in a predicament. Gun
Hmm.
against a guy like AJ, like I said, he's green. We don't know what he's capable of. But if I stick to my basics and fight my fight, I don't see too much of a different outcome other than me winning.
Hmm. I mean, that was my last question. Your prediction. You said you didn't see anything else, but you win. And of course, most fighters will say they see themselves winning, but because there's nothing to go on. I mean, we talked about your striking background. Do you do predictions for your fights? Do you see knockout,
I
submission?
don't necessarily, in a sense, do predictions. I mean, yeah, I have like a lot of scenarios that kind of play in my head sometimes.
Mhm.
But there was something that I said in my last interview, and he picked up on, but he doesn't understand it quite yet. When I say win, lose, or draw, I come to bang.
Mhm.
That's not me having the mindset of like I'm not here to win. That's me having the mindset of I've got wins, losses, and draws. I've been in these waters already. So like I'm prepared to win, lose, or draw. He's coming in only in hopes of winning, and that can fuck you. That can shoot you in the own foot.
Yeah.
So like me having the mindset of hey, win, lose, or draw, I'm still sticking to my same game plan. And as long as I do that, my hand will be raised.
I mean, I hope so too. I mean, it's one of the things that jumped out at me, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything when I ask
Just
this, or but like, is there a perception that's like they're giving this fight came to you? I mean, you kind of answered it, but like so that he could make his name off of you,
oh,
but
I mean, yeah, because this is not the first time, and it
mhm,
definitely won't be the last.
mhm,
A lot of people look at my record, and I mean, this is kind of why I wear my guys Kobe brand, man. It's always moving forward. Like I've
mhm,
got a lot of losses. I do. I've got 18 losses as a professional. And that's just in MMA. I've probably got 23 losses total.
mhm,
And at no point have I ever sat here and thought like, okay, it's time to hang the gloves up because
mhm,
I've lost. Like, no, man, it's a lesson. Like, I'm gonna keep moving regardless.
mhm,
And there's a lot of guys that yeah, they take fights against me because even though I have a lot of losses, I have credible losses. I
mhm,
have losses against guys that have skin in the game. So a win against me still means something to some guys. Um, and I mean, if they feel they need to build their name using me, hey, have at it. But
mhm.
it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah.
That's the only like I guess that's kind of where I like um I pride myself in because like I never called myself the gatekeeper, but someone else called me that. Um Regardless of like I said, the win, lose, or draw, nobody has ever come out of a fight with me and just been like, oh, that was easy. Like, yeah, that was
Mm,
no, you gonna battle for that one.
yeah.
You gonna work for that one. So it's like, I mean, if at the end of the day he gets his hand raised, he's gonna have to work for that. Like, and
Mhm.
at that point, then he's worthy enough to move forward. Which all the luck to him. But he's gonna have to work for that.
Well, I mean, not for nothing, man. That's spoken like a true martial artist. You learn from your losses, and you keep going forward. I mean, it's when you don't get, like they say, when you don't get back up, that
Yes,
that
sir.
that's when you truly lose. So I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad we got that recorded. So, well, Mr. Graham, thank you so much for taking time to talk.
Yes, sir.
If
I
you
appreciate
got
it.
sponsors and stuff you want to shout out, or anybody you want to shout out right now, by
I
all
got
means,
three
go right
sponsors.
ahead.
I've got Joe Lewis over Joe George, Tree Service, Wesley Bencher. He's my tattoo artist. That's why I'm all inked up. Always moving forward. Kobe Bridges, he keeps me in the meanest fight gear. And Tom Shaw at Shaw Painting. I appreciate all of you guys, and of course my business, Handygrams. Thank you guys. I mean, I wouldn't be able to fight and continue my dream without the help of my sponsors.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. Good luck to you. I'll be looking forward to watching this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.